How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Kuf Chof Vav, Daf 126 of Masechta BavaBasra. Friends, we're talking about firstborn stuff. Alright, we're going to start on Daf Kuf Chof Vav Amud Aleph all the way at the top. First line of the page. Omar Rav Huna Omar Rav Asi. Says Rav Huna the name of Rav Asi. Interesting that Rav Huna would be quoting Rav Asi. First of all, Rav Huna was in Eretz Yisrael, Rav Huna was in Bavel, Rav Asi was in Eretz Yisrael. There's also a Gemara that we saw somewhere, I can't remember where, maybe it was in Tainus or something, I have to find it, where it says that like Rav Asi moved from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, and like when they were in Bavel, I think Rav Huna was like, he was like the like the Eloi, and they came to. So then Rav Ami and Rav Asi went to Eretz Yisrael, and they were like, they were like out of Rav Huna's shadow, so to speak. And then I think when Rav Huna passed away, they took the coffin to Eretz Yisrael, and they heard that Rav Huna was coming, but they didn't know that he was no longer alive. And they were like, oh, dag nabbit, like now we're going to be in his shadow again. Something like that. I'd have to find that Gemara. Anyways, so it's interesting that Rav Huna would be quoting Rav Asi. So it could possibly be another Rav Asi, but I don't know. Amar Rav Huna, Amar Rav Asi. Bechor shemicha, micha. A bechor who michas. So, but actually we had said that if the brothers make an improvement to the estate, for example, they build houses or plant vineyards. So we had said in that scenario, the bechor does not have a right to pishnaim in that. But what if he says, wait, I don't want you to make this improvement? Well, if he said, wait, I don't want you to make this improvement to my stuff, and they did it anyways, well, then he is entitled to pishnaim in that improvement, because he told them that right not to do it, and they did it anyways. So, b'chor shemicha micha, a firstborn who says, wait, don't make that improvement, but they made the improvement anyways, so then he is entitled to pishnaim in the improvement. Amar Rabba, says Rab Mistaber Taimo de Rav Asi, that this makes sense. Ba'anovim uvtsarim, for example, grapes. If he said, "Wait, leave the grapes, don't harvest them," but they then harvested them anyways, zeisum umsakum, or olives, and he said, "Don't harvest the olives," and they did. So then, in that case, if they, the improvement in value, he would be entitled to a double portion. Avol drachum lo, but if they crushed them, so now the grapes are no longer grapes, they're wine, or the olives are no longer olives, it's oil, well then it makes a change, right? For example, like we learned in the parak of Bava Kama, hagozel eitzim, that if somebody steals wood, and then, what was it, a gozel eitzim vasameyan something? What was it, a gozel, did he say, yeah. Where is that Gemara? Yeah. You make them into vessels. So then you made a change to them. So in that case, they would have been kona in that, right? So it would be b'shas. It would be like at the time of the basically he would not have a double portion in the wine because it's a different thing. They made a change to it. Rav Yosef says Rav Yosef afilu drachum, that even if they crushed the grapes or the olives and made them into wine or oil respectively, still he would be entitled to a double portion if he told them not to, because Rav Yosef amar afilu drachum, but how could that work? Because meikar in vehashta chamra, but how could it be? How could Rav Yosef hold that if you had grapes and crushed them, he would still be entitled to a double portion in the improvement, but they made a change to it, which means that he would only be entitled at kishas hagezela, right? Like at the time of that the change occurred, the time that right before the crushing. Kedamar of Ukva Bar Choma, it's like if Ukva Bar Choma says litain lo dmei hezek anov, hachinami nitek lo hezek anov. No, we're talking about, well, what if fakert? What if it happens fakert? What if they crush the grapes and then it goes south. For whatever reason, it doesn't work out. Then it turns vinegar. It gets ruined somehow. So in that case, he says, look, I told you not to crush them. I want you to pay me the value at the time that you crushed them, right? Pre-crushing. So he would be entitled to that, but not to a double portion in any benefit. Where did Rav Ukva bar Chama teach this statement that we just quoted? And that which Rav Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel, Bechor ufashit sheniach loyin aviem anovim uvtzarim zeisum musakum. So if you have a pashit, right? So the pashit is the non-firstborn, and then the bechor, of course, is the firstborn. So if you have a pashit and a bechor, sheniach loyin aviem, that their father left for them anovim grapes uvtzarim, and they harvested them, zeisum musakum, or olives, and they harvested the olives. Now the Bechor had said, I don't want you to harvest the grapes or the olives, but they did so anyway. So Bechor noto pishnayim, because he protested, the Bechor would be entitled to a double portion. Afilu drachum, and even if they trampled the wine or the olives, drachum meikar in ve'ashtachamar, but how could it be that even if they trampled them, the Bechor would be zocher to a double portion? But it's a different thing now. Before it was grapes, now it's wine. He should only be able to claim the grapes. The answer is, he's saying if the wine goes sour, something bad happens to it, so then he would be able to claim the value of the grapes, but he would not be able to claim double portion in the improved value of the wine. Amar Rav Asi, says Rav Asi, Bechor shenotol chelek kiposhit viter. Says Rav Asi that if a firstborn, right, so let's say, I don't know, there's a property, let's say there's a property, and the firstborn says, you know what, I'm not going to take a double portion, I'm just going to take a single portion like everybody else, I'm just going to be like the rest of the people. So viter, so he basically, what's the word I'm thinking of? Oh, I forgot, did I forget to, oops. 1 second, excuse me. So be'etzem what does viter mean? He was mevater. What's the word mevater? Faneged? To fagin? He was mevater. He vitered. He mevatezan. Ich weiß nicht. He's mevater. He said, like, okay, whatever. He whatevered. He okay. He's mevatezan. Omer of Asi Bechor Shenoto Chelek Kiposhit Viter. My Viter. What does it mean that he was mevater? So Rav Papa Mishmei de Rave Omer says Rav Papa in the name of Rave Viter Bo'isa Sode. It means that particular field. So if there were several fields in a state and the Bechor was mevater on one of the fields, so on that field he can no longer receive a double portion. He would just receive a regular portion like the rest of the brothers. Rav Papa Mishmei de Rave Omer Viter Bechol Anachosim. Rav Papa says the name of Rave that he was take mevater on all of the properties. Meaning once he says, you know what, I'm just going to take a regular portion in this property, so the same would then apply to all the other properties as well. He would not be able to receive a double portion, rather a regular portion like all the rest of the brothers. Rav Papa Mishmei de Rave Omar Viter Bo'sa Sode. Rav Papa had said in the name of Rava that he's mevater on that particular field, but not the other fields. Kosover Ein Lo Lebchor Kodem Chaluka, because Rav Papa says that the Bechor doesn't have the right to be mevater anything until it's actually divided up. And therefore only that which he has already received can he be mochel, but not anything else. Meaning if they're dividing up this particular field, and so once they divide up this particular field, so at that point he could say, okay, I'm mochel, I don't need to receive my bechora, my double portion here. But they hadn't yet divided up the other fields, so therefore he can't yet be mochel there. So therefore he's only mochel the particular field that he's mochel. Whereas Rav Papi Mishmei de Rava Omer says Rav Papi in the name of Rava, right? You have Rav Papa Mishmei de Rava and Rav Papi Mishmei de Rava. Says Rav Papi Mishmei de Rava, Viter b'chol anachosim kula. No, when he's mevater on this particular field, he's mevater all the fields. He's bechor for all the fields. Kulan, because kasavar yesh lo lebechor kodem Chalukah, because Rav Papi holds that the Bechor can, right? He is considered to have his portion of his double portion even before it's been divided up, to the extent that he can be mochel it and say I don't need it. When he says in this particular field that I don't need the Bechorah, so that would apply to all the fields as well, that he would not get his double portion. Now Rav Papi and Rav Papa, who are both saying in the name of Rava, they didn't hear this explicitly from Rava. Rather, it was from Maisa Shahoyu, right? And it was implied that Bechor da Azil Zav Nichse Dide with the Pashit. So you had a Bechor and a Pashit, a firstborn and a non-firstborn, and the firstborn went ahead and Zav Nichse Dide with the Pashit. He Pashit sold the entire estate. Okay, so the whole thing, his portion, his brother's portion. Also, Yasmi b'nei Pashit lemecho tamri. Now then the Pashit died, so the Bechor had sold everything. The Pashit then died, and his children, the Yisoimim, went to the portion of their father to eat the dates. Right, b'nei Pashit lemecho tamri mehanu lekuchos, from the people who bought it from the Bechor. Machunu, and those buyers were hitting the Yisoimim. They were hitting the Yisoimim. They were saying, "Get lost, scram skedaddle. We bought this field. It's ours. You don't take these dates." Amilu Kravim. So then the relatives of the Yisoimim stepped in to defend them, and they said, "Lo mistayed is abantinu l'nechasayu." Not only did you improperly purchase their inheritance, their property. This isn't your property, it's their property, because the Bechor had no right to sell their father's property. But you're also now hitting them. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Also, the comment of Rava, this came before Rava, Amarlu, and Rava said, Loi also veloy klum, that gunished, that the Bechor doesn't have the right to sell this property. So now, Marsav Velosav Lo Klum Bifalga. 1 second. Yeah, okay. So Rav Papi saw this story, and he said that when Rav Papa says Lo Asav Lo Klum, that when Rava says Lo Asav Lo Klum, that the Bechor had no right to sell this, he had no right to sell his brother's portion, and he had no right to sell his regular portion before it was divided up, but he did have the right to sell his Bechorah, because you could sell your Bechorah even before it's divided up, like Rav Papi says. Right? The Yesh Lo Bechorah called him Chalukah. He has the Bechorah even before they actually divided up, so he could sell that, but he can't sell the other half, right, his regular portion, and certainly not his brother's portion. And Rav Papa held that what Rava says is that the Bechor had no right to sell any of it at all. Certainly not his brother's portion, certainly not his regular portion, but also not the Bechorah portion, because it's only considered his once it's been divided up. Alma Eilo the Bechor called him Chalukah. Where am I? So Sholchu Mitam. So I'm in the second line of the Gemara, Kuf Chav Vav Mud Beis. Sholchu Mitam, they sent from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel Bechor Shemochar Kodem Chalukah, that a Bechor who sells before it's been divided up, Lo Aso Klum, he did nothing, like Rav Papa says. Alma Ein Lo Bechor Kodem Chalukah, that the Bechor doesn't have anything before it's divided up. Ve'ilchsa, but the halacha is Yesh Le Bechor Kodem Chalukah, that the Bechor actually can. He does receive his portion, his Bechorah, his double portion, the portion of his Bechorah, before it's actually been divided up, and at that point he could sell that portion, like Rav. I believe that was Rav Papi's opinion. Yeah. So now V'chse Bechor Kodem Chalukah. My Zutra mi Dirishba Polak B'tzane Defil Plebade Achin B'Shave. So my Zutra from Dirishba, he divided up, there was a basket of dates, of the pilple of peppers, and he divided up equally with the brothers, i.e. he didn't take a double portion of the Bechorah. Also, the Kam de Ravashi, and they came before Ravashi, Omelei, and he says, Hoyul uvitarte b'miktzos, vitarte b'chol nechosim kulim, that once already you're mavater on the basket of peppers, well then, right, you could be, right, yesh, what was it, yesh lo lebechor kodem chaluka, that he has the right to the bechora even before it's actually been divided up, and therefore when he was mevater on the peppers, he was actually mevater on the entire estate, even though the estate wasn't divided up yet, and therefore he can't, he was mevater his double portion. Now we're starting a new Mishnah. Omer ish ploni bini bechor lo yitol pishnaim. Ish ploni bini bechor. Where am I? Ish ploni bini lo yirosh im echov lo amar klum sheisna mashakosu bator. Again, I'm going to read that again. Omer ish ploni bini bechor lo yitol pishnaim. If a father says that my son, my firstborn son, will not receive a double portion. Ish ploni b'ni lo yirashim echav. Or he says, my son, this particular son, is not inheriting anything of mine. Who's here? I don't know. Lo amar klum. So it's irrelevant. Shizna mashkos b'torah. Because he's making a condition on that which is written in the Torah. The Torah says that a bechor receives a double portion. The Torah says that all of the sons inherit their father. So you can't just decide my firstborn is not getting a double portion, or this son is not going to inherit. He can't. The Torah says that they inherit. He can't change that. He can't play with that. Fine. Givaldik. Amachalik nechosov al piv. However, somebody who divides up his property as a gift, riba le'echad u'miat le'echad, and as a gift he gifts to one child more and to another child less, vishva lo enes habechor, and as a gift, be'etzem, he kind of gives this person more, this person left, and in the end, what's left for the bechor is the equal amount as everybody else. Dvar of kayom, and so that is acceptable, because he can do it, it's his property, he can gift it to everyone. He can't mess around with the halachos of Yerusha, but there's kind of a shtickle loophole in that he can say, well, I'm gifting this to them, and he can do whatever he wants with his property, he can gift it to whoever he wants, and if all that's left for everybody after that is an equal portion, be'etzim, or what's left for the bechor ends up being equal to everybody else, okay, say that, that's fine, he can do that. But if he says that davka, one second, okay. But if he says that I'm doing it as a Yerusha, well then it doesn't work, because there's halachas of inheritance and those he can't mess up. Technically speaking, he can't mess with halachas of inheritance. He can gift whatever he wants, but if he says that he's doing it as an inheritance, that doesn't work, because there are rules of inheritance. Kosav bein batchila, bein be'emtza, bein basof, mishum matono, tvav kayamin. Now the Gemara is going to explain what this means, but if at some point, not today, I think in a few days, if at some point he mentions that he's gifting it, whether he mentions at the beginning or in the middle or at the end, the Gemara is going to explain what that means, the beginning, of the middle, or the end. But if he mentions at some point that it's a gift, then Dvar of Kayam, so then it taka works, because again, he could do whatever he wants as a gift. So says the Gemara, so let's say that the Mishnah is unlike Rabbi Yehuda. Let's say that the Mishnah is unlike Rabbi Yehuda. The Rabbi Yehuda, ha'amar b'davar shalom t'nao kaim. Rabbi Yehuda says, so our Mishnah had said that if he's messing around with the halachas of Yerusha, he can't do that because he's masna mashkos b'torah. If the Torah says that these are the halachas of Yerusha, he can't say, for example, my firstborn isn't going to inherit and is not going to get a double portion of the Yerusha. He can't do that because he's masna mashkos b'torah. So let's say therefore that the Mishnah is unlike Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda says that while it's true you can't be masna mashkos b'torah, but you can be masna mashkos b'torah when it comes to mamanis. So by Isurin, no, but by Mamanis, sure. So Lemi Masnisin Dulot, right, and Yerusha is Mamanis, right, monetary stuff. Lemi Masnisin Dulot Rabbi, so let's say that the Mishnah is unlike Rabbi, the Rabbi, because if it's Rabbi Omar, B'davar Shamam to no kain, Rabbi says that when it comes to Masna Mashakos B'Torah, when it comes to monetary things, it's actually okay. The Tanya is willing to buy Omar Leisha, as we've learned before on a few occasions, I believe. In Kiddushin Daf Yud Tes, Bava Metzia, Daf Nun Aleph and Tzadi Daled in Ksubis. So we've seen it a few times. So the Tanya Omer Leisha Hare Mekudeshes Li Amanas She'ein Lich Olei Sheksus Va'ona. So says Reb Meir, this is the opinion of Reb Meir, that if a fellow says to a fella, Hare Mekudeshes Li, you are betrothed to me, but under the condition She'ein Lich Olei Sheksus Va'ona, that you have no claims of share, which is food, ksus is clothing, and ona is tashmish, is bia. So if that's the condition, that you are mikudeshes to me, but no share, ksus, and ona. So it says Reb Meir, Arezo mikudeshes, she is married, vitno batel, and that condition is irrelevant, because the Torah specifically says, shero ksusa ve'onasa lo yigra. That share, ksus, and ona is in the Torah, and therefore you can't play around with that. You can't make conditions on that. So the condition is completely irrelevant. And what stands is the Kiddushin, not the conditions. So to know, to know about the Reb Meir, that's Reb Meir's opinion. However, Reb Yehuda Omer, B'davar Shel Mamon, right, there are three things there, share, ksus, and ona. Share is clothing, is food, ksus is clothing. Both of those things are monetary things. But ona is right, bia is not monetary. So the monetary things would, where are the people coming from? The monetary things, the Tanai would stand for the monetary things. Okay? So therefore, when he says that Harei Mekudesh is on the condition that there's no claims of share, ksus, and ona, so share and ksus, that works, but not ona. So b'davar shel mamon, with the monetary parts, to know the Tanai, the condition would be fine. Afilu Tamer Rabbi Yehuda. So we had said that the Mishnah, therefore, that says that the father can't make conditions by the Yerusha because it's masna mashikasa b'Torah. It sounds like that would be unlike Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda says that you can be masna mashikasa b'Torah when it comes to monetary things such as an inheritance. So Afilu Tamer Rabbi Yehuda, you can even say that our Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda is in line with Rabbi Yehuda. How so? Because Hassan, when Rabbi Yehuda says that the Tanai works by monetary things, Yado v'kamachala, it's because she agreed. Meaning he says to her, and she says, okay. So therefore, when it comes to monetary things, so the Tanai works. But over here, the father is saying to his firstborn son, you're not getting a double portion. He doesn't have any. The firstborn son doesn't have any say in the matter. So even Rabbi Yehuda would say over there that the father can't just decide that the firstborn doesn't get a double portion. That would be masnam amashkos b'Torah, even though it's monetary, according to Reb Meir. Omar, Rav Yosef says of Yosef, Omar ish ploni bini b'chori hu notel pishnayim. So if a person says of Yosef that, again, Amar ish ploni bini bichori hu, right? If somebody says that this boy over here, he's my firstborn son, noto pishnai. Okay, so we believe him, and the firstborn son will receive a double portion. Ish ploni bichor hu ain't noto pishnai. But if all he says is that so and so, he's not my bechor, but he's a bechor. Well then, so if he says this boy over here is a bechor, then he would not receive a double portion because Dilma Bukhur De'imo Kamar. Maybe it's his mother's firstborn son. Maybe that was the first baby that the mother had. But the Bechora for inheritance goes based on his firstborn. How would also the comment the Rabbi Bar Chana, the person came before Rabbi Bar Chana, Omar Lei, and he says before Rabbi Bar Chana, Muchzakoni Boze, I have a chazaka shehu bechor, that he is a firstborn. Omar Lei Mino Yodat. And Rabbi Bar Chana says, how do you know? Davakari Lei Avua, because his father says, which I guess the person came before Rabbi Bar Chana says, I have a chazaka that this boy over here is a firstborn, because I heard that his father would call him Bukhra Sichla, a foolish, I guess, Bechor. So you see, he called him a Bechor. But then when Bukhra De'imo Nami, Bukhra Sichla Karli. Yeah, but maybe it means that he's a firstborn to his mother. And that's why he was called, like, apparently they were called Bukhra Sichlas, firstborn of the mothers. How also the comment of Chanina, a certain fellow came before Chanina Amalei, And he says to Reb Chanina, Muchzakoni Baze Shehu Bechor. I have a chazaka that this fellow over here is the firstborn. Amalei ben Yodat. Reb Chanina says, how do you know? Amalei. So he says to Reb Chanina, Dichi Avu. Also Legabe Avua, because when people would come to his father, I guess his father was an eye doctor or an eye something. So Amalei, the father would say to them, Zila Legabe Shichichas Bri, go to my son Shichichas, de Bukhri, because he is a firstborn, Umasi Ruke, and his spit, his saliva has healing qualities to it. Maybe that means it's his mother's firstborn son. Gemiri Bukhra de Abba Masi Ruke Bukhra de Ima Lo Masi Ruke. Apparently, a father's firstborn son is saliva has healing qualities, which would not be the case by a mother's firstborn son. Interesting. Shana, what do you have to say about that? Peace out.